Can you use the NHS for free? I get this question a lot, especially from those who are from visa national countries and especially from those who are here on a short-term basis. In this video, you'll find out who can use the NHS for free. And it is really important for you to understand this particular aspect because if you use the NHS services and they're not free, you may incur debts, and if you do not repay them in future, your application may be refused on this basis. Before I start explaining who can use the NHS for free, it is really important for you to understand that the NHS has 3 levels of care. They have primary, secondary, and tertiary care. Primary care, this is the universal health care provided for a local community that is accessed directly. It includes professionals and services accessed through a general practice, including general practitioners, health visitors, school nurse, accident and emergency departments. All primary care services are free of charge to all, whether or not they're registered as an NHS patient or as a temporary patient, which is when the patient is in the area for more than 24 hours, but for less than 3 months. It is also free to everyone, irrespective of their immigration status. Then we have the secondary care. This is more specialized healthcare that requires a referral from the primary care to access this particular one. In most cases, your GP will be responsible for providing a referral to a secondary health care professional. This secondary care may be used in community health setting or at a local hospital. Secondary care professionals may include community pediatricians, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, speech and language therapists, child, adolescent, and mental health services. For secondary care services, the UK's healthcare system is a residence-based one, which means entitlement to free healthcare is based on living lawfully in the UK on a properly settled basis for the time being. It is also known as ordinary residence. This requires non-EU nationals subject to immigration control to also have the immigration status of indefinite leave to remain. Individuals who are not ordinarily residents in the UK may be required to pay for their health care when they are in the UK. The same rules more or less apply to the tertiary care, which is highly specialized healthcare services that require a referral from a primary or secondary care. Normally this may be a GP or community pediatrician, but may also include other secondary health professionals. Tertiary health care will normally be based at a more distant hospital or major regional center and may include specialist diagnostic services such as genetic services, acute clinical services, or specialist emergency services such as a range of pediatric surgery or children's cancer services, and specialist treatment centers for children and young people with some severe medical condition. It is normally free to those who are ordinary resident in the UK to use secondary and tertiary care services. It is a paid service for everyone else. However, some services and some individuals are exempt from payment. Let us clarify which services are free even if they are not considered to be at a primary care level. And these are accident and emergency services, including walking centers, minor injury units, and urgent care centers. This does not include those emergency services provided after being admitted as an inpatient or at a follow-up outpatient appointment, for which charges must be paid unless the overseas visitor is exempt from charge in their own right. We also have services provided for the diagnosis and treatment of communicable diseases, including HIV, tuberculosis, and Middle East respiratory syndrome. We also have family planning services. Guys, however, this does not include the termination of pregnancy or infertility treatment. Then we have services provided for the diagnosis and treatment of sexually transmitted infections, and services for the treatment of a physical or mental condition caused by torture, female genital mutilation, domestic violence, or sexual abuse. The next one is called palliative care services, provided by a registered palliative care charity or a community interest company. What is palliative care services? According to a Marie Curie website, palliative care is treatment, care and support for people with a life-limiting illness and their family and friends. It is sometimes called as supportive care, and it includes managing physical symptoms such as pain, emotional, spiritual and psychological support, social care, including helping with things such as washing, dressing and eating, support for family and friends. In other words, this is a service which is provided for patients with life-limiting illnesses, those who know that they will die from this illness sooner or later. And finally, we have services that are provided as a part of the NHS 111 telephone advice line. What is NHS 111 telephone advice line? This is a really helpful helpline which is open 24/7, and it helps you find the correct specialist in your area, and it can also connect you to the nurse, emergency dentist, pharmacist or GP. It can help you get a face-to-face appointment if you need one, and they will tell you over the phone where to get the medicine if you need something on an urgent basis. And they also provide self-care advice. Okay, these were the services which anyone can use for free. And now I would like to talk about categories of people who may use the services, any services, free of charge. And these are refugees, asylum seekers, individuals receiving support under Section 95 of the Immigration and Asylum Act 1999. And also this includes the categories for those whose application for asylum was rejected, but they are supported under Section 4 of the Immigration and Asylum Act, and they're supported by the local authority, and they're supported under the Care Act, or their children are looked after by a local authority. And we also have victims and suspected victims of modern slavery or human trafficking, plus their spouses or civil partners, and any children under the age of 18, provided they are lawfully present in the UK. And this category of people also include those who are receiving compulsory treatments under a court order, and prisoners and immigration detainees. I would like you to also be aware that there are also some exceptional humanitarian reasons where the Secretary of State can determine that exemption from the charges for relevant services is justified. This exemption also applies to their children or a companion who is authorized to travel with them. But what about those who pay the immigration health surcharge? As you know, from 6th of April 2015, non-EU nationals need to pay a health surcharge when applying for a visa to stay in the UK for more than 6 months, unless they are in the exempt category. Those who paid the surcharge or who are exempt from paying one can use the NHS on a similar basis as an ordinarily resident person, while their visa remained valid, although they still need to pay for certain services, including prescriptions, dental treatments and assisted conception services. The surcharge is £300 per year for students and those on youth mobility visas, and £400 for all other visa and immigration applications. Dependents will have to pay the same amount. But what about UK visitors from reciprocal healthcare agreement countries and the European Economic Area? People who are visiting the UK from a country which has a bilateral healthcare agreement with the UK are exempt from charges for some NHS hospital treatment in the UK. People from EU member states and Switzerland are exempt from charge for all medically necessary treatments, including treatments for chronic conditions, which includes routine monitoring. They must also show a valid European health insurance card or a provisional replacement certificate to receive such free care. Pre-planned treatment is not included free of charge without special prior arrangements. Residents of EA member states should speak to the authorities in their home country if they wish to come to the UK specifically to receive these treatments. Guys, you need to be aware that the NHS can ask the Home Office to provide them with information about a person's immigration status in order to carry out the assessments on the eligibility for free NHS treatment. They can also share non-clinical information about overseas debtors with the Home Office, including that a person has a debt of over £500 and it has been unpaid for 2 months or more. And here is an extract from the Appendix V, which is rules for visitors, where they say that an applicant will normally be refused where the relevant NHS body has notified the Secretary of State that the applicant has failed to pay charges under relevant NHS regulations on charges to overseas visitors, and the outstanding charges have a total value of at least £500. So guys, just to be absolutely clear, you need to ensure that if you're a visa national and you are using anything but the primary carer, you need to be very careful and you need to ensure that the services which you are using are included in the ones which I've listed in this video. If not, it's probably better to ask whether or not you will be required to pay for this at a later point. And this is it. This is all we wanted to find out in today's video, guys. But before you go, I would like to invite you to a free masterclass where I will be providing an overview of 30 UK immigration routes and areas of UK immigration law. This will be a perfect free opportunity for immigration law students as well as newly qualified immigration law practitioners to refresh their knowledge and to widen their awareness of all the areas which exist in UK immigration law. If you do not specialize in UK immigration law, you just want to know more about it, you're more than welcome to subscribe to my website. Guys, I write articles and create videos on very regular basis, and my subscribers are the first one who are sent links to these articles and videos. So you're more than welcome to subscribe to the newsletter, and it will take less than 60 seconds.